On this episode, we visit Bogotá, Colombia. We talk with the creator of Ciclovía, where bicyclists take over a network of streets every Sunday. Then we talk with the head of the Colombian Pedestrian Foundation. Stay tuned.
We're in Bogotá, Colombia, talking with Jaime Ortiz Marino, who's an architect. What sort of architecture do you do?
I have dedicated my life to public space, to the city, to the life in cities. And I'm much involved with mobility and transportation issues in Bogotá, Colombia.
And one of the things Bogotá is known for is Ciclovía. What is Ciclovía?
To talk about Ciclovía, we have to go back in time. In the 60s, I went to school in the United States, and I lived through that big crisis of downtown areas in the American cities. So I was trained, and I learned about the future for us of the city based on the car, suburbia, and so forth, the decay of downtowns and so forth. So when I came back to Bogotá, I was a teacher at the University of Javeriana, and we started a big debate about the future of cities. And I was lucky enough to find in our culture a very important symbol, a symbol that had a reality in its use in this culture, and that is the bicycle. Bicycle has been a big thing in Colombia throughout the 20th century. Bicycles and cyclists carried goods in cities and rural areas. Campesinos, rural people, moved around this country on bicycles, and we developed a very important event, which was the sports. We are some of the greatest racing cyclists in the world. So therefore I was lucky, I said, to meet bicycles, which I had lost when I was an adolescent. And I lost bicycle to something between city and danger. But I found then that bicycle was still in existence, and it was very important in an informal and an clandestine way. So with that symbol, with a colleague architect, we posed the city a challenge. We knew that the future of cities based on cars among us was not real. In an average American city, 90% of daily trips are made by car. Then in Colombia, 85% of daily trips were made by mass transit. So we were designing cities for cars that nobody could afford, cars that nobody was going to have. And as of today, 80% of daily trips in Bogotá are made by bus, and 20% in individual vehicles, which means bicycles, motorcycles, and automobiles. So it was obvious that the future of Bogotá as a car-based city was not real. So we decided to open this debate publicly from a civic point of view, and we designed a strategy that started. We were clear that we needed to educate a generation. So we had to, and how could we do that? We decided, let's create a neutral space where everyone could come in and have the chance to look at the city, to live the city from a different perspective. And the temporary use of already existing spaces was the first step in our strategy. So we closed on Sundays streets in Bogotá, and we had instant success. We were immediately surrounded by the cyclists that existed then in Bogotá. And this has been 45 years. And now you see what we have as Ciclovía, which is this very deep-rooted event in the culture of Bogotá. It's an icon here, and its reality is amazing. We close almost 150 kilometers of streets, and we deal with 1.5 million people every Sunday, running free, running happy, running with no constraints. There hasn't been money or religion, a bit of politics, but Ciclovía is an event where every citizen is the main actor on that scene, and each one takes it for serious.
How has it evolved over the decades, or is it pretty much how it started and it's just grown a little bigger over time?
No, it started with 6,000 people first day. Now we have 1.5 million. So many things have happened throughout these decades. But there's one thing that I see as a very important fact of Ciclovía. I insist, the auto regulation. People appropriated the event. This is not an event that is conducted by the city, although we are very happy that the city very fast recognized the value of the event and the city runs it. But it is a civic event, and that has sustained troubles, it has overcome troubles, it has made it bigger, it has made it famous. Now we have almost more than 400 cities throughout the world using the same strategy. But at the core of it are the people, are the capacity of the people to auto-regulate themselves and to enjoy the city by themselves.
How has Ciclovía changed people's perceptions of public space and transportation in the city?
That was the original aim. When you see that today, what we call in Colombia the collectives, the amount of groups throughout the city that promote cycling, for example, is huge. When you see that one of the most violent cities in the world, that it was for a while, the citizenship could overcome that. It is really to me something to admire, how people can change their attitudes, the regular attitude during the week time, and on the weekend they just change channels and come out to the streets to enjoy the city in a different way.
And you mentioned how cities around the world have adopted your idea. In a city like Los Angeles, how do they do Ciclovía that may be different than Bogotá?
I was very honored and very pleased when the promoters of Ciclovía in Los Angeles came to Bogotá looking for me to advise them. And to me it was it was a great thing to see and to do, because I was trained in the United States. So here I comes going back to the United States to teach them something. And it was really great to see how this experience from Bogotá could be replied no more and no less than in Los Angeles, the car city of the world, and the success of it. It's so big, and obviously it's adjusted to the circumstances of Los Angeles. But they are doing well, they are doing great, And there are many other cities that are following that path.
What do you see as the future of Ciclovía here in Bogotá? You've been here for decades now. Does it just go on the same, or what do you see as the future?
Grows. It grows permanently. Right in front of us is Monserrate, which is the biggest icon in the city, the image. Ciclovía is part of the image of many generations of Bogotanos. Nobody dares to touch it. I only preview growth of the event. And from that experience, people are now thinking in terms of using bicycles permanently. The health event behind Ciclovía is a big thing here. So I only preview more success for Ciclovía.
We're in Bogotá, Colombia, talking with Gustavo Calderon. What is your organization?
The Colombian Foundation of Pedestrians, in Spanish, Fundación Colombiana de Peatones.
How long ago was it organized?
We began activities in 1999. We are going to complete 20 years next year in 2019.
What was the inspiration behind the foundation? Why does it exist?
The city has a lot of troubles, and there is a social responsibility for all of us. And at that time, I have the opportunity to know some people in Europe, especially from the northern part of Europe, Sweden, etc. And we talked to each other with Olaf Gunnarsson, an specialist and one founder of the International Federation of Pedestrians. So when I came back to my country, I saw the opportunity to have many things in order to improve the conditions for pedestrians and walkability in our cities.
What sort of things can a foundation like yours do? What have you done over the almost 20 years now?
It depends so much on the professional profiles of the founders. We began working with a lawyer, a mathematician, me as a civil engineer, and we especially did or continually were doing research investigation to produce acknowledgement for authorities, for decision makers, politicians of course, but also for people in general. So we are proud that we meet opinions, but all of opinions are based and demonstrate are based on rigorous study and research. Of course, we also have done activities with people. We inspire other people in Colombia for doing similar things according to their own profiles. And there are many activities. We participate in the construction of policies. Our words, after some time, are part of the laws in Colombia. It's a good thing for us. It's a real impact, basically.
And do you need to work on national laws, or do you need to do work in the cities and work with city governments?
locally, but in many cities of Colombia. Colombia has suffered a urbanization process too fast, and pedestrian issues are becoming more and more important for us in Colombia.
What sort of problems would a pedestrian have, in a city like here in Bogotá?
In Bogotá, you find all the problems you can find anywhere in the world, all kinds of problems. But after 20 years of activities and thinking on the problems, we can conclude that it was enough if we improve the lack of sidewalks and the lack of crosswalks. Of course, many troubles related to those topics, but it is a fact that there is no sidewalks, and the existing ones are plenty of troubles. You can find in our sidewalks no continuity, not flat, plenty of holes, plenty of all kind of obstacles in our sidewalks, and poor conditions, and especially a lack of maintenance. Few and poor conditions and poor maintenance. This is a terrible formula for having accidents and not walkability conditions for our citizens. And the lack of crosswalks is also the same, because a pedestrian has two ways for suffer accidents, for instance, or for suffer not good conditions to walk. When the pedestrian walk on the sidewalk, and when the pedestrian attempt to cross. And the lack of crosswalks is very important, because there is no crosswalks painting, and when you find one of them, is the same that the sidewalk. Poor conditions and no maintenance at all.
And when someone looks at your website, they find a lot of the reports that you've done over the years. One of the things you looked at was how pedestrian issues are discussed in the media. What did you find out about how the media covers pedestrians?
You mean our last research, that is looking the way journalists or media, especially digital media, talk about pedestrian topics, and not only how much does the journalist talk about this topic, but how is the treatment they say they use with pedestrian people. So we discovered that there is very few notice about, very few news about pedestrians in the universe of news that every day they report. Just including mobility news, only between 2 and 4% are related to pedestrians. And we are talking about news of mobility. If we consider all kind of news, pedestrian is disappear, absolutely. And how is very important, because media form opinion and force some kind of sense of self-image, affect the reputation maybe of of people. If you in media find all days that you pedestrians are imprudent, are not comply the rules, etc., it affects the behavior of everybody. So it is a great responsibility also in the media, and because of this study began 3 years ago, and we sent to some of these journalists the results and make conclusions. It is very good for us to encounter that some of them are going to correct some expressions in the vocabulary, a little respect, but there is much to do already yet.
Last year in 2017, there was a conference in Medellin. What was that conference?
This was a good opportunity. This group of people in Medellin was inspired, as they have said many times, inspired for us and act locally in Medellin. They organized the first forum for Latin American pedestrian advocacy groups of pedestrians, very important, and contact us, of course, and we send them 2 figures, like start figures in like pop stars, Jim Walker and Ole Thorson. This improved the image of the event, the impact also, and was an opportunity for all of us, including to have better conditions and improve the networking, maybe, and personal contact. It is good for all of us. The event was a successful forum, and I congratulate them, and we are very happy that, as they did, another organizations under our umbrella here, based in the capital, began to act and to take action in these topics. Yeah.
And this year, in fact, just this week, the Walk 21 Pedestrian Conference came here to Bogotá. What did it mean to have that conference here in your city?
I said there's opportunities. This was the best opportunity for putting in the mind of people the problematic of pedestrians. After 20 years, we think somebody said that nothing as powerful like an idea that has achieved its own time. 20 years ago, maybe it was not the moment for those ideas. 20 years later, we see that it began to be the moment, but not yet. When the moment arrives, you are going to see real impacts and quickly the development of all we need and all we desire for pedestrians. Not yet, but this is the path. And it is not a task for 1 year, nor for 10 or 20, maybe more years, but it is necessary to begin and to act. So Walk 21 is in this way. Not all you see here in the speech, in the local speech, are totally true. Some people only show good things, but it is simple to have some walk or to walk around for just a few minutes, and you discover all the problems because they are visible.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, John, and it was a pleasure for me, for us and the organization. Thanks to you to visit us, and welcome as soon as possible. And congratulations for your work in pro of pedestrians all over the world. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Visit us on the internet at www.pedestrians.org.